At this point, let's catch my breath here. That was a very. It's about 1:45, so if we want to take about maybe 10 minutes, if people have questions of any of our panelists to this point, I'd like to invite you to just shoot your hand up. We have a couple of microphones, and we'll get them over to you. There is some time at the very end of the day for questions and comments and this kind of thing. Would anyone like to address anything at this stage of the presentation?
A mean guitar too.
I'll start you today.
Yeah. The question really is for anyone on the panel who, what has been the response of the overtures? I'm sure during the last number of years you've made approaches to various levels of government, whether it be local governments, provincial government. What has been the response in your experience to this issue as you've tried to move forward with it?
I don't think there's any debate. We spoke to the Union of BC Police Chiefs, and certainly to the superintendent. I'm not great on names, but the Union of BC Police Chiefs, and I think there's large support for it. I think there's concern about how to actually move those mechanisms. Police work for, or RCMP work for cities and municipalities. And we're talking about a health issue which is in really the jurisdiction of the provincial government. Alcohol laws, it's not a crime to be intoxicated. And there's nothing in the criminal code that says so. The issue is that provincially, the provincial government has jurisdiction of alcohol, and they have set particular things around police picking people up. If you're able to be returned to your family, the police will take you to your family and happily place you in the custody of them to watch over you. The problem being that when you're talking about people who are poor, in communities where if a large number of these people were Aboriginal, that they may be dry communities, or the issue of that there isn't a place to watch over someone. And so the question of being able to bring all of the multiple partners to the table. This is not a policing issue. This is a health issue. We are downloading it onto the police officers to deal with. But in truth, it's a health issue, and it needs to be dealt with that way. And before our hospitals became so overcrowded, police would take people to the hospital. And they're forced to make, I think, I'm not a police officer, I don't understand the process, but from what we've heard of attending those inquiries, I think the struggle is, do you take someone to cells, or do you go and sit with someone in a hospital? And policing resources are at a minimum. So I think that's the reality of police officers. The reality of communities and provisions is they need beds, they need service. I had the opportunity to speak to the Association of Aboriginal Addiction Service Providers, and they were the first people really to endorse sobering centers. And the resolution we called for a particular resolution because I believe the answer is to find a solution that works not only in large urban settings like here, because we have a concentration of resources, but small rural ones. And there is a way to do that, I think, when we look at other jurisdictions like Australia, which has shown that it can be done in a cost-effective way. If anyone knows anything about Australia, they're particularly right-wing, and there's not a lot of cash involved in social services. So they have managed to make those models work within addiction treatment settings. It can be done. And I think that's a question of just finding the willpower and to bring the partners to the table to do so. And I should say that the Assembly, I'd be remiss if I didn't say the Assembly of First Nations, I think, has the intent to work to see that happen.
We'll take another question from Joan.
I have one quick question, and that's about communication between the health persons and the RCMP, because you have just stated that these intoxicated persons are able to go home if the family is contacted. It was brought out in the inquiry that my son, when they picked him up, had said, changed my mind, and he was quite happy because he had decided in the wait that he was going to just have them take him home, and that we were going to work through this. Now, he was never taken home, or he was never released. So I don't know if that was because he had consumed a bottle of alcohol and not paid or whatever. But is it well known that that option is available?
I wouldn't want to say that it's an option.
Oh.
What I'm intending to say is that because this is not a crime,
Yes.
unless a crime has committed for something else, that there's a span of what can be done.
Of
Police
what-
officers
okay.
do take people to the hospital to ensure that if they feel that there are reasons for them to be checked out before custody, sometimes they don't. That's often
So
why
it
these
is a
corners are
realm
called
of
for.
possibility.
Yeah.
Okay, I misunderstood what you said. Thanks.